Hey, Simon here, and today I would like to talk about this little effect here. So we have a bullet which penetrates actually one enemy. It flies through, but it interacts with it. That's important. It interacts with the enemy, but passes through, and then gets destroyed when it hits the other one. All of these things, the bullet and the enemies, are rigid bodies. And this is the goal. And just to show you, if you don't do anything, if you use the rigid body as it is normally, then you would get this. The bullet would be destroyed as soon as it hits the first enemy. And yeah, that's it. But I wanted to have a special ability that you can choose to have lasers which penetrate the enemy and but still apply, let's say, damage or something, and then get killed later. Okay, so this is the setup, and I also would like to talk about some learnings I had when working with rigid bodies, because some things were not so intuitive. So let me just start by an empty scene here. And of course, the first thing we have to do is having a rigid body, and this is my laser, for example. And we can add a sprite. This is just, where's the sprite here? The projectile. And we can make it a bit bigger. Where is it here? 5.5 maybe. Okay, so now we have a nice big projectile. And this is a rigid body. Yes, we set the mass to a lower value, 0 or 1 here, and then constant forces to 10, so that the whole thing moves already. Yeah, it just moves, so that's nice. And of course, we now need a collision shape, and that's that for this one. Okay, nice. And of course here we have to set it to a circle shape. Good. Now I will duplicate this whole thing and call the other one asteroid, and the sprite will be a mine, and we have to set up the frame to be the number of frames like this. So, and it shall be happy at the beginning. Yeah, so that's that. And yeah, so basically now we have, and in that case we don't need the scaling. So, and then we can move this here, and now we should already have something nice. Yeah, both get moved now. Of course, here we have to remove the constant force, and now poof. Okay, so now everything is there. So the first thing which I want to mention here, which was not very intuitive for me, now the collision layers are both set to 1, the mask and the layer, and of course we can set 1, the bullet is the player projectile. Here I have player projectile, and the mask it searches for asteroid. Okay, let's say this is an asteroid. And what I found interesting is here I just defined this for the asteroid. I just said, hey, this is asteroid, and here in the mask I didn't set anything. And the interesting thing is now that it actually works in the sense that the bullet is colliding with the whole thing. We can also look at the collision shapes, and it is actually working. If we offset this maybe a little bit, there should be maybe a little bit extra movement even. Yeah, something like that. So it is almost like a static body, and the physics engine does react to it. So I was under the impression, why is it not moving anymore? Why is the bullet not pushing it anymore away? And I was thinking about all of these settings, but actually what I noticed is you have to set the mask on the asteroid to actually look for the projectile. Then it reacts again, and I'm not exactly sure why, because as we saw, physically it is in the engine, you know. It's not like that there's no collision at all. But yeah, so this is important for the collision layer setup. Okay, so now I would like to create on the laser a little script. Let's call, let's do it like that. And of course we have to, we want to have an event when we have a collision with something else, and here I just print the name the name of the body with whom we collided. And so let's see if this works. and it should not, because this is something which I always forget when it comes to rigid bodies. You have to set here the contact monitor to on and the max contents reported to a number higher than 0. So no, this is the wrong game. Okay, so now we should see, yeah, here we see an event coming in. So now we see that our bullet collided. Okay, now that's very good. And now the last setup we have to do is we have 2 asteroids, because this is what we want. So and now I have a problem, because now of course we can also enable for the asteroids that they not only react to the player projectile but also to themselves, so that when we enable asteroid here for them as well, so now they collide with each other. Just nice. Okay, so and now we have a problem, because what I want now is the following. I want that my projectile comes, and then when this contact happens here, I want to get a notification. Okay, that's what we already have here, right? So that's good so far. But I don't want the physics. I don't want to push it away or anything. I don't want that my bullet gets slower. I just want to penetrate this thing and do something. And then here I want to have the actual physics collision. And to do that, what my solution was, I just create another area, or an area with another collision shape, and in that case I will use a rectangular thing so that we can see it, and disable the first collision shape, which is responsible for the physics collision, gets disabled. Okay, so at the beginning, when we look at this now, there is no collision happening anymore. So that's good. So what we do now in the script is the following. First, we react to when a body entered this area. So when any body entered this area, then we can again print the name, but I will just set a breakpoint here, and then we should get anything if we would be so smart to set up the collision layer here as well. Of course, this is also player projectile, and of course this looks for asteroids. So like we did the setup for the collision shape for the rigid body. Of course, we have to do this for the area as well, and now it works. Okay, so that's good. So when this happens here, when our or rectangular collision detects that we touch this one here, what I want to do is the following. So it's this one here. I want to create a clone of my bullet. So this is the idea. We create a clone of the bullet, then we add it to the scene tree. Dot root add child. We add it to the scene tree, and then for this, not for the original bullet, but for the clone, we actually enable this collision thing here, which is disabled by default. We enable it for that, so that our bullet comes here. Then when it touches this, the round collision for the clone gets enabled and can interact with this one here, while our bullet here is just passing through, and we will enable the collision for that afterward. So what we need is enable collision. Okay, and enable collision does 2 things. First, it takes the collision shapes, and by the way, what I type now will not work, and you will see in a second why. Oh, sorry. So this should, in theory, enable the collision shape again. And then also we don't need the area anymore, because we know after one passing through we don't need to know about another passing, basically, so we can just destroy that. And this we call for the clone. Okay, so, and this should not work. Oh, but at least the breakpoint. No, wait. Oh, it's called disabled. Okay, so here we see the code disabled equals false, so it's not disabled anymore, and the area gets removed, and this we do for the clone. Okay, let's see if it works. It should not. Yeah, nothing works. Because, and I cannot really explain why, but this needs to be set deferred. So this will look like this. So instead of directly setting disabled, we set it deferred so that it gets at the end of the frame, when the frame is in idle, then it gets enabled, and this works now. So don't ask why, but that's how it is. And you can see we actually have a clone. So that's nice. Whenever we touch one of these little funny mines, we actually create a clone of our bullet, and the original bullet continues passing through. Now, here in this function, this is the function when we actually hit physically a body. What we can do now here is that we destroy ourselves, because when our bullet hit an enemy, we want to destroy it, basically. And to make it visible that we had an effect, what I want to do is now I get the node from the asteroid called sprite, and here we change the frame to 1. So this should make the this should, oh no, it should be 0. So this should make the mine turn off. Yeah, so now the mine turns off. Maybe I should use a different, this one is better, I think. Let me check this, because it's a little bit bigger, and here the standard expression of the mine is the other frame. So let's see how this looks. Okay. Boop. Okay, whenever we hit one of these mines now, they actually unfold, kind of. I hope you can see this. I can disable the collision shapes here. Boop, boop. Okay, so that's good. The only thing missing now is that we don't want to pass here with our bullet. We don't want to pass this mine here. This bullet should collide now with that one, because our special ability is only passing one enemy and not forever. So this is actually easy to do. What we can do here, when we exit this body, we want to do that. So let's see. We for our original bullet, we did not destroy this area thing here, this one here. We only destroyed it for the clone, but for the original bullet we did not. So now we can react to when a body exited this one. So basically this means this bullet here, when it enter, or when a body enters this rectangular, then we create a clone, blah, blah, blah. But when it leaves, then in that case we can create or we can just enable the collisions for us. So, and this should now, yeah, you can see the bullet is not passing through anymore. The bullet, as soon as it exits the body of the first mine, it actually enables the collision, the real physical collision, this one here, for itself, and this makes it not passing through, but actually ending up here where the frame is set to 1, and then also it destroys itself. So this is how I made this little this little effect. Of course, now you can use counters. You could say, okay, this bullet maybe can pass through several enemies, and then after a while only activates itself or something to actually hit and destroy itself. But that's something you can do on your own. I hope this was useful, and bye bye.